I'm Groot.
Be as explicit as possible when explained.
I'm Groot.
Okay. Hello, Matt. You are my first victim. How are you doing today? Up at 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 1 millimeter. We're doing okay. We're finally just warm enough where I can start cycling the heater on a schedule. It should save me a bit of power. That's a good thing. We like saving power. Okay. Let's center these like that. Go D to this. Exactly. Saving power saves us money. That's a good thing. Join those two. Center them again. And with B, rotate. Go D, D. That should give me a nice strong part. Saving dollars is a good thing. Was waiting for some more victims. There's another victim. Hello, 3D Medic. How are you doing today? It's still morning here. Always gotta remember, most people are on East Coast time. I got this adorable little keyboard, like $6 from AliExpress. A little Bluetooth keyboard. The only thing that sucks is it's micro USB charging. It's like, come on, get with the USB-C train here. But cute little keyboard. Try that out later and see how that works. But that'd be a nice, keep in the car, connect to any computer kind of thing. Portable spare keyboard. I like that. No YouTube notification. Interesting. How'd you know then? We're doing okay. Keep our victims happy. We're going to have steak tonight. We don't often get to have steak, so I'm excited about that. My neighbor is kind of wheelchair bound, a mobility scooter. He's missing one leg, and the nerve in his other leg won't let him walk. So I've been going to the pharmacy for him and stuff like that. And he always tries to pay me, and every now and then I let him, but otherwise I tell him no. It's like, you're my neighbor, man. I'm going out anyway. But he has a problem with chewing, so he gave me some steaks that he wasn't going to eat. And, oh, we're going to enjoy those tonight. Oh boy, we're going to enjoy those. Man, the money he spends on his medicine. Oh man, they just rape him for his medicine. What are you going to do? I got these adorable little things. I just thought they were cute enough that I wanted them. So they're little cookie making things. It's like you get like 4 of them for $1.79. I was like, hell yeah, I'm gonna get those. And if they work the way I think they do, yes, they do. It's spring. Oh, it's even spring loaded. I was actually expecting it just to be a pass through, but check this out. Bring up this so it's in real time. But yeah, so it's a little cookie thing, you know. It's actually got a complex design in there, and you can push to. I guess that serves 2 functions. You can make sure you actually get the design imprinted on the dough when you make your cookies, and it'll also push out that little dough slug. You can go and push it out, and that's a little candy wrap, little ice cream cone. And this one looks like popcorn. And this one is another wrap of candy. But that's pretty damn nice for less than $2. Holy cow! I mean, I'm actually genuinely impressed by that. Then I hope they put up more of these sets up there. I only found 2 of these really nice ones. And these are construction equipment. A little tractor, little John Deere type tractor. There's one of those big haulers, one of those big earth mover trucks, big giant dump truck. There's a cement truck. And a dozer. These are in the the 99-cent and higher section on AliExpress. But at the time they were doing their thing where every now and then they take 10% off. So $1.79 for 4 of them. That's 50 cents a piece. I can't even buy the springs for that price. I mean that's really amazing. Those are much higher quality than I was expecting. I was expecting that just to be a loose part, but it's even spring loaded. Like there's a spring in there. I am impressed. Nice job, China. I'll be keeping an eye out to see if they do any more of those. Sometimes once you get one thing, they show you a bunch more of it. I also finally got one of those Wi-Fi pokers. This is one of those, oh, he's blue. Nice. I like blue. One of those, oh, it's USB-C as well. So it's the kind of thing where this moves back and forth and you can Wi-Fi control this. So what I want to use this for is to my water distiller. Sometimes I go to bed before 10:30, but I can't turn on the water distiller until 10:30 when power goes down half price. If I use peak power, it's 62 cents a gallon to make water. But if I use off-peak power, it's only 31 cents a gallon. So this will allow me to, well, basically automate what's otherwise a dumb machine. So I'm going to 3D print a tray that the water distiller will sit in, that this will also sit in, probably, you know, something sideways like that. And then this will be able to go boop and press the power button. So I should be able to program this and say, okay, at 10:30, poke the button. Then at 10:30, this will go and poke the power button. That should start the water distiller. $6.99. I thought that was pretty cheap. Oh yeah, there it goes. Huh. That's kind of neat. I thought it was pretty slick. So it's a way of making your old dumb devices smart devices. I've seen people use these on light switches. Like instead of tearing apart your lights and stuff like that, you just mount this to your switch plate, and they would use something like this. It comes with different arms, and different stickies. So you'd loop that around your light switch, and you can use it to turn a light switch into a smart switch. Like for $6-7, I was like, I'll get one. We'll try it. That was pretty neat. Got a cube touch. So it'll be interesting playing with that. Oh yeah, and then this is a wonderful idea. It's simple. It's super cheap and simple. But I can't believe it took this long for someone to actually make it. It's a simple notebook. That's it. It's just a simple notebook. Comes with a marker where it's 2 pages of whiteboard. That's it. It's just a simple, slim little notebook that's 2 pages of whiteboard. Genius. That's so handy. When you want to sketch something out real quick and you don't want to keep blowing paper and finding scraps of paper, and then of course you got to throw it away when you're done. This, you just wipe it down and use it again. That is genius. I mean, I can't believe it took that long for someone to do that. Oh, it's a pen. Oh, nice. Nice. What I gotta do is start creating more content is what I gotta do. I get off my ass and start making more content. I'm hoping the Rocky Mountain Rep Fest will motivate me and give me some ideas. But yeah, I really need to get off my ass about that. Gotta get all my doctor's ass about fixing so many problems. My eyes are just killing me. It just won't stop. This damn. It's not the eyes that are hurting. It's the skin around the eyes. They gotta figure out a way to stop me from making that pus in my eyes. It tears my freaking skin apart. So we left off with the ruggedized one that you have to unscrew. You know, all 10 of these if you want to change anything out. That makes it a bit cumbersome, but it also makes it very durable. So we came up with the new design where these would slot in, and that worked pretty well, but it had some issues. So there's the new model. And these are reversible. So if these bend over time, you can reverse them because they are equal on both sides. But I did run into a problem I was expecting to have, although I wasn't expecting it to happen so easily. I knocked both of these off of the counter in the kitchen. Cat knocked them off the counter, and they both hit the floor and bounced, and I heard a distinct crack. I was like, I know what that was. That's right. That cracked right off. So the problem is all of the force, all of the energy is well, it's focused on this piece because these pieces just float. They're actually a tight fit. I gotta increase the tolerances a bit so they're not such a tight fit. But because I'm using simple compression to hold all this together so that you only need 2 screws to take this whole thing apart. Yeah, it's broken. It just pops off now. Let's see if I can get this apart. Like I said, this is a pretty tight fit. I gotta increase the tolerances. There we go. So now, once I properly increase the tolerances, these won't be such a struggle to put on and off. You'll be able to yank these out and put them in, relatively easily. But right now, the tolerances are a bit tight, so they go in there pretty tightly. And, but before I mess with that, I need to make this core stronger, much stronger, because it's just, even though it's a 1mm extrusion, it's just that one thin extrusion. That's obviously the weakest point. So when this hit the ground, it just, well, blew itself apart. Actually, it stayed together, but the end busted off, of course, so no good. But otherwise, I think I got the fitment right. And so with a looser fit, that would just slap on there, and then you would just thread this on, and you would have your dumbbell with only 2 screws. Hold the whole thing together, so it won't be so cumbersome to adjust it, take it apart. I love this color, by the way. This is Candy Burst. It's a new color from Atomic Filament. They have it in PLA and PETG. It is a gorgeous color. Oh man, that's a hot pink. The only good pink is a hot pink. So dull pink like bubblegum, it's okay. Hot pink, yeah, I can get into hot pink. But so I've just finished redesigning this central core. Basically, I use my vase mode thing that I do, except there's just no inside. I actually don't want. Normally, what I would do is I would have outside and the inside circle, and then they would connect with veins. This I actually don't want to do that. Yes, that's exactly what it is. It's an adjustable dumbbell, so you can adjust it from like 1 to 6 pounds. Because it turns out that the plastic's going to weigh about 1 pound, so I'll actually be able to get pretty close to 6 pounds with this. You'll just exchange sand-filled modules to adjust the weight of it. And, just by itself, with none of these pink things in it, would be about 1 pound, and then add a filled center one, and that'll get you close to 2 pounds. Then an empty center one with 2 filled outer ones, catty corner, get you 3 pounds, so on and so forth. And the design keeps it reasonably compact. We print it on an i3 print volume, so 200 cubed, 210 cubed, and so anybody will be able to print it. I'm trying to keep the cost as low as possible. So in that vein, it's also really annoying to change out this one because you have to take off all 10 of these in order to change anything, in order to pull this apart, because they're all threaded. Now the advantage of the threading is this thing's a unit. I mean, you could probably bounce this off the wall and it's not going to care. I haven't tried that yet, but so far it's pretty tough. And that's mostly because these are all tightly compressed down. And so none of these connections are loose. They're all tight. That means when this hits the ground, the impact force gets spread to all 10 connections. So each individual connection is only experiencing about 1/10 of the impact force. So, if it hits the ground with 10 pounds of deceleration, each of those joints only has to handle 1 pound of deceleration. However, this design is to make it, lighter, using less plastic, also less parts. So this will have 8 less parts. It also simplifies it. So you just print 2 dog bones, 4 of these, 2 of these, and 2 of these. And then these all just compress. And to solve the problem of plastic creep, how our plastics like to deform over time, these are reversible. They're mirrors. So you can take this off, flip it over, put it back on, and now the warp will be the other way. So you can always keep it tight. The problem with that, and I knew this was going to be a problem, although I didn't expect it to break quite that easily. The problem with that is that you need to make that core a little longer. Not long enough. That explains a lot of why it broke. I need to solve that. But I can't make this bigger. The only thing I can do is make these shorter. Because this is already at maximum height. I don't want to go above 210 millimeters because then I begin restricting the number of printers that can print this. I'm trying to keep this as wide availability as possible. Yeah, see here? See how this joint here is nice and snug? You see on this side, there's a gap. The shoulder doesn't fully engage the bevel on the end cap. And that's probably a large reason why that broke. So when it hit, the energy wasn't absorbed by the entire seat. So think of it this way, if this is your joint and this is your other piece, if they're sitting like this, this part here takes all the force. But if they're sitting like this and they mesh perfectly, they mate together, now when this hits something, all that force is transferred over this entire surface area. Because this is not sitting inside of the seat, inside the end cap, that took all the force. Okay, so that'll help as well. Then I also did this. I put my little veins in like this. I might actually spread them out because I actually want this to be flexible. I want this to give. I don't want this to be rigid. I want it to be strong, but I want it to have some give to it. Because any give whatsoever is going to diminish the amount of force that the part experiences. So if that's too close, that might be perfect for a 0.4 millimeter nozzle. But for a 1 millimeter nozzle, this will probably fuse. I might have to spread that out a little bit. Matter of fact, I think that's exactly what disconnect that. Let's move them out quite a bit, actually. Join them again. Recenter. Center. Okay. Now we Control D. Rotate. Control D. And there we go. That still might not be enough. I know it might work. Simply not have so many veins. Probably overkill anyway. That might be more than enough. But these should not fuse in the center here. Should be far enough apart. We'll have to see what it looks like in the slicer. So those ribs will, now it won't simply be a perimeter. Now it won't simply be perimeter that is relatively weak. It'll be something more like this with all the ribs. Except I won't have a center hole. In this instance here, You want the center hole because that gives you rigidity. And this needs dimensional stability, so it needs rigidity. However, this, I don't want this to be rigid. I want this pylon in the center here to have some give. I want it to flex a little. Because if it doesn't, it's, well, this is going to shatter. A little bit of give will go a long way. So yeah, that's what we're going to do with that. I might also add ribs to these, because these are going to be focus points for breaking. This point right here, where the fins stop and the just have the curvature there. Strong this way, like I cannot deform that squeezing it. But it's possible that if I were to take this like a drumstick and just go, bing, it might just track right there. So having some internal ribs that start here, partially intrude, might go a long way to making this stronger. I think I'd rather try it first. Because these are going to float inside of the end caps, that alone might be enough to prevent them from breaking themselves. I'd rather not have the ribs on there if I can help it. It's just going to add material. It's going to add time, it's going to add material. Yeah, it does look like the headpiece on the bike a little bit, doesn't it? So this is what that's pretty much, this one's pretty much done. I think I'm going to release this to it still needs a little more testing, but for the most part, I can't think of any way to improve this anymore. At least until an idea comes to me. I think it's going to be strong enough, but it's also a hassle. This is going to be the more efficient model. If I can make it strong enough, people probably prefer this one just because you don't have to unscrew 10 things to change it. In fact, because only this center pylon is threaded, you literally only have to remove one screw. Then this end cap will pop off. Because these are captured and not threaded, there's nothing to remove from the other end. Right now, like I said, right now these are tight. But once I get the tolerances right, this will pop right off and these will just pop right out. You'll be able to swap out and change the mass of this in seconds. So that shouldn't be a problem. Partially engaged. Yeah, that's definitely, that has to be, this has to be lengthened. And I can't lengthen it, which means I have to shorten these. So after I reprint this piece here stronger, thread this, I'll measure exactly how far I have to shift that and just shrink these by exactly that amount. That should work. Yeah, I increased the pattern, lowered the percentage, so it's not as dense. This larger nozzle, you don't need a super high density. That also gives it a little bit more flex. Of course, ideally, you'd print it out of TPU. You print this out of TPU, it's indestructible. But now you've doubled the costs and created the hassle of having to dry the TPU, and it's going to be a slow print because you can't go fast. It's TPU. Even the hard stuff is going to have to go slow. But yeah, TPU would literally make it as close to indestructible as you're going to get. But I think I can get it to work with even PLA, as long as you're careful with it. That'll be neat. I found some Hatsune Miku figures on Thingiverse and Printables. I even found some pretty decent ones. So I'm going to try to print a life-size Miku. I like her. She's just cute. I'm going to try to print. I guess it'd be bigger than life-size, since I'm going to make her 6.5 feet tall like I am. I doubt if she actually existed, she'd be 6.5 feet tall. But too bad, she's gonna be 6.5 feet tall. Wonder what that is. Oh, this is new. New interface features. This stuff down here is a little new. So I'm guessing this is my running time. How long the stream's been going. No. Oh yeah, right there. 3014, so yes. Just had to update for a second. Then I'm guessing if I was simultaneously recording this would be counting. I was wondering why that was 0. I thought it wasn't streaming or something, but no. That's likely the case. You can stream and record at the same time, which I don't bother doing. So I'm guessing that would count up if I was doing that. It's more efficient on CPU. I'm only using 10%. Yeah, not bad. 8%. I wish I could do it 30 frames per second instead of 60. For some reason, I haven't figured out a way to change that. Because then I would double my available bitrate per frame. Right now I'm doing 4,200 kilobits per second. And so that has to be divided by 60. If I was doing 30, I could basically double the quality of each frame by running 30 frames per second. That's probably because that's what YouTube is playing it back as. I noticed that a lot of the times the let's see what options are available. Fast. Huh. It says 720p and 1080p should be at 60 frames. But if you're watching it at 480, 360, 240, or 144, it'll be 30. At least that's what it says for me. It always switches to top messages. I never want to see top messages. Ever. I only want to see all messages. It annoys me that there's no way to set that. Oh, no, PAL is 25. That I know for a fact. I had a lot of PAL NTSC VCRs. NTSC is 29.97, 30 frames per second. PAL is 25 frames per second. I don't know about HD, but I know our PAL VCRs back in that day, PAL was 25 frames per second. Before I switched to digital players and DVD players, some of our commercial grade VCRs actually had a switch on the back, and you could switch whether it was running PAL or NTSC. Pretty neat when you accidentally got a movie that was PAL, and you could just flip the switch and you start playing it. Before digital came out, the VCRs we would use for the peep shows, we called them, for the booths. You go in, you put a quarter in, you get to watch a porno. And so we had what was called a brain. It's basically a microcontroller. It's a computer, a small computer. And the brain would have essentially a broadcast card, a tuner card for each booth. And so each booth would get its own card. And so on the back there were, if like say you had 15 booths. No, 24 cinema. It was not 24 back then, it was 25. 25 was PAL, 29.97 was NTSC, 24 was cinema. That's what your projectors in the movie theaters run at, 24 frames per second. But PAL VCRs were 25 frames per second. So if you had 10 booths, you'd have 10 cards in the brain. And then the brain also had inputs. And it was basically a cable distribution setup. That's essentially what it was. It was cable distribution, except instead of broadcasting, um, like say you had 40 inputs. One machine actually had like 36 inputs. Let's say you had 30 inputs. Instead of having 30 channels, because I thought of trying to do that at one point in time, trying to build my own cable system, like a tuner card, one for each channel, and then you would multiplex all of those signals into one signal so that you can send a single cable TV, RG59, to a television. Then the television would literally use its built-in cable TV tuner to allow you to change the channels. And but getting a hold of that equipment at the time, was not easy, and it was just not a simple process. At least at an affordable level. Obviously, it was available commercially, but now you're talking tens of thousands of dollars. But to get things like off of eBay, so I can afford, it was very difficult to piece together such a system. I gave up on that a long time ago. So the way our system did it, the cable multiplexing happened inside the brain box, and you just sent out a single signal to the TV. So you set for channel 4 or 3, and your TV would be fixed at 3 or 4. Then the card in there would transmit just a channel 3 or channel 4 signal. Then the brain box would simply send a different input signal to whatever card requested it. There was a secondary data channel from each booth, because when you dropped a quarter, that sent a signal to the brain that said, okay, stop playing the standard, hey, welcome to our system message, and now start playing video content. Then if they used channel up or channel down, that didn't actually change the channel on the TV. That sent a signal back to the brain to the secondary data channel that said, okay, now we want channel 2, channel 3, channel 4. And the brain internally would divert whatever signal from whatever input to whatever output requested it. Pretty novel system. It's a pretty interesting system. But yeah, we had VCRs. And of course, these VCRs were literally playing 24 hours a day. So we became pretty good at taking them apart, going in there with the head cleaner that people would get high off of. But we'd go in there with head cleaner and clean the head of the VCR, the big spinning drum with the quad head drum inside the VCR. Changing belts, we learned how to change belts. Then when those machines got to the point where we couldn't fix them anymore, CB Sales, a guy we knew for 30 years, we would take the machines to him and he would repair them. These were, $500 and $600 commercial level VCRs, so they weren't consumer level VCRs. They were designed to be repaired. Now, eventually, we actually stopped using commercial VCRs because consumer VCRs got so cheap that it was literally cheaper to replace the VCR than it was to repair it. Another VCR was $39.99, while the repair bill from the guy was going to be $50 an hour, minimum 1 hour. When you're spending $500-$600 on a machine, that's worth it. You could buy machines for, at one point we were buying VCRs for $25 a pop at Best Buy, and we were paying for the warranty. Oh, we had stacks and stacks and stacks of Best Buy warranties. Why would you buy the Best Buy warranties? Oh, we used them. We used them a lot. They'd bring up our account in the computer, and if it was a new employee at Best Buy, they'd be like, what the hell? How many do you have? Oh, like 80? He was humorous. But yeah, we went through a lot of that. And then we eventually switched to DVD. And the biggest issue we had, it was funny as hell. This is hilarious. Because you'd have your remote control. You'd have your remote for your DVD player. And you'd have to hit a particular key combination on the remote to put the DVD player into playing the movie and then repeat the movie. Because we needed to get to the end of the movie and then go back to the beginning and start over again and keep repeating the movie in a loop. And so there was a key combo you had to hit. Now eventually I figured out how to strip out everything from the DVD. We would actually rip the DVDs And the sole purpose of ripping the DVDs wasn't to copy them; it was to get rid of everything. We wanted just the movie, because it was a pain in the ass, because it was different amounts of time and different combos to get the movie to the point where it was playing the movie, and then we can hit the repeat button on the remote. And so by ripping the DVD and burning a copy of it, we could get rid of everything. And so you can actually burn a DVD with nothing but a movie on it. And when you stick that DVD in a DVD player, nothing happens. There's no menu, there's no buttons to press. It just plays the movie because that's all that's on there. And but we still had to hit those buttons for the repeat. And the problem that we ran into is that we had many machines that used the same commands, the same remote control. And even when they were different machines, sometimes they shared certain buttons. Like there's a certain remote that used the same. It wasn't a power button; it was a different button, but it used the same encoding in the infrared signal that the Sony players used for power on. So when we would hit that button, all the Sony players would turn off. It was a nightmare. So we would be back there holding the remote back like this and going, beep, beep. Shit, didn't get that one. Got 9 of them, but didn't get the 10th one. And so what we did is we would wrap the end of the remote in tape to restrict the infrared signal. And we would put the infrared remote right up against the player, and the tape would touch the player, and this kept the signal from leaking out and affecting the other players. And so we can do that, just that one. And then the godsend. It took me months to figure this out. And somebody who knew what they were doing finally figured out what I was trying to do and told me, "Oh, you just do this." I couldn't even do it today. Today, if I had to, I wouldn't remember how to. But apparently, there are a DVD has more. A VOB is the movie. The OB file, that's the actual movie. And there's also a couple other files, and those files include instructions. So when you put a DVD in a DVD player, the DVD player doesn't actually read the DVD. It only reads the talk, or table of contents. And the table of contents explicitly tells the DVD player, here's where your movie is, it starts here, it ends here. And that's it. You could have 2 movies on that disc, but if your talk only references the one movie, no DVD player will ever see the second movie, because they're not actually reading the disc, they're reading the table of contents. The table of contents instructs the player where to read on the disc. Well, we all found out we can inject other commands into that information file on the DVD. So I created a whole entire set of instructions for the employees to, rip the DVD, select movie only, get rid of all the menus, all the extras. And some movies were complicated because the movie was made up of like 30 parts. So you had to select all 30 parts. It was really annoying. But usually the software is smart enough to realize, that's the main movie, so we're going to grab that block of files. And we would rip just the movie, but before we burned it, we would edit that IFO file. I think it was an IFO file. We would edit the IFO file, and there was one line you had to search for, and we would insert a command. And the command was, when you get to the end, go back to the beginning. And because there's no menu, what happens when you go back to the beginning? It just plays from the beginning. It was a simple dip flip in the software that said, play, movie's done. Okay, go back to 1. And of course, it would just play again. So we were able to burn these DVDs with auto repeat built in. That literally saved an hour of labor every single day. Because there were days where it would take us an hour to get all these players going if something shut them down. That's why we had battery backups on everything, and we never turned them off. Because it was such a pain in the ass to turn them on again. We had UPSs littered inside the box, and we just accepted the higher wear and tear on the DVD players in order to not have to spend an hour every morning booting up 40 DVD players with 40 remotes. It was a nightmare. And now, you burn that disc. It had the movie on it. It had the IFO file edited to auto. It wasn't like a repeat. It was just a, you know, one go to two play movie, 3 end of movie, 4 go to 1, and it was just basically telling it to go back to the beginning again, and that effectively made a loop. And it just you put the disc in and turn the player on. That's all you had to do. Put the disc in, turn the player on, it would automatically begin playing, automatically loop forever. Power went out, no big deal. It doesn't matter. It would turn back on. Sometimes it would resume from where it left off. Sometimes it would start over from the beginning, but that's okay. Point is, it would auto play and auto repeat, and we didn't have to touch a goddamn thing. From that point forward, we turned everything off at night because the power savings alone was like 70 or 80 bucks a month just by not having the players running for that 6-hour window where we were closed. You have 80 DVD players all running. They consume a lot of power, even though it was a lot less than the VCRs. And you could buy at one point we were buying DVD players for $19.99. I mean, they were so cheap at one point, and we just had a cabinet full of DVD players. And eventually, I switched to the little mica players. Look at that up, MICCA on Amazon. They actually have a new one. I want to get one of the new ones eventually. I don't have the money right now. That does H.265, so I won't have to convert everything. Although I still have to convert because my Chromecast doesn't take to H.265. I can't stream H.265 to my Chromecast. Although I hear the Ultra HD one and the Ultra one, the 2 high-end ones, here they can do H.265, but I haven't tested that. So the even though the DVD players were working perfectly, I mean, they were perfect. One of the problems with the DVD players is they were big. A DVD player was big. They were thin, but they were this big. So you still needed a pretty substantial cabinet to hold them all, and they made a lot of heat. We actually had we mounted fans and ducting in these cabinets to draw out the air-conditioned air from inside the building up through the cabinet and exhaust into the ceiling space, because it would get so hot that some of these DVD players would fry themselves. It would get too hot. And in fact, one of the things that I did in the wintertime is I would reverse the fan. So instead of sucking the air in the building out, I would blow the air down, which would push all that heated air into the building. And so it actually provided us with a small amount of heat. So eventually I switched to the mica players because they used a whole lot less power, even though they were 40 bucks a piece. But also the mica players would do auto repeat, auto play. You could set auto play, auto repeat. That would be a permanent setting. It would remember. And then we just literally had little thumb drives, and we would rip the movie right to a thumb drive. We didn't even have to convert it. We can rip the VOB file right to the thumb drive. The mica players will play VOB files. So we can skip the whole burning process. We can't really do anything. We kept burning these copies of the movie, and we couldn't do anything with them because you can't sell them. They're not legal. They know we make them for the booths, and the manufacturers are fine with that. But obviously, they don't want us selling them. They want us buying them from them. So being able to avoid burning anything. Hello, Makermind and Fernando. So being able to just take a $5 thumb drive, because it didn't have to be very big, 4 gig. So the most we had to do was compress the film down to 4 gig, but most films we didn't have to do that. We would just literally rip the movie straight to a thumb drive, then take the thumb drive and just plug it into the video player, and it would just play automatically. And now, instead of these 2 gigantic, commercial freezer-sized cabinets, you're able to put everything, all 3 brains, the UPSs, the players, everything in one single cabinet. It's allowed us to add an entire additional booth. Those it was fun. It was interesting. Got to play with gadgets and stuff. These are new. I got these off of AliExpress. I wanted to play with them. I was expecting them to be a little thinner, but it does look long enough. Basically, it's a Type C direct to micro SD. So no more middleman. Where's my current rig? I see it. I don't know what I do with it. Here somewhere. This is direct. So I can just take my micro SD, plug it directly into this, and that goes right into my USB-C port on my phone or on my computer here. So now I don't have to have, C to an A and then an A to an SD card reader and an SD card. It's just this. Here it is. This is my normal setup. I have the C to A, then the A micro SD reader to the SD card. So now it's just this one piece right to micro SD. One thing I don't like is the micro SD sticks out a lot, and they're prone to being broken like that. While in this, the micro SD is almost fully inserted, a lot less prone to being broken. But it's nice to have a single piece. I got a couple of them. They're only $1.79 each. I got a couple of them. That works well. I got a new crustable cutter. Chow likes those crustables, where it's like the sealed honey brown jelly. Square one is a little tricky to use because the bread is just barely big enough to work, and if the bread gets crushed at all, it's a pain in the ass to use. So the round one, the circle one, is just as big, but it's only that big at the 4 points. So the circle tangential with the square. So you only have to get those 4 points to fit and make your crustable. I'll probably make up a few of those for Rocky Mountain Rep Rap so I don't have to buy too much food while I'm out there. I don't have any money. Make up a bunch of sandwiches, a Ziploc bag them, and I can just grab a peanut butter and jelly and eat it. Here's some tuna fish too. Got a yellowfin Calabrian chili tuna. Get a couple mayonnaise packs and a couple tuna fish sandwich. There's noise in the audio today. Well, the DVD players aren't in the booth. They're in a media cabinet that's outside the booth. And there's wires that run from all the booths to the media cabinet where the brain is. So they're all sealed. We had to lock them away so people wouldn't screw with them. Sometimes you get some people that would just, you're like, what are you doing? Like, seriously, dude, what are you doing? What do you think you're gonna do in there? There's nothing in there for you to mess with. So we had to lock the cabinets to keep them out. Fuzzy bleed, huh? You might be hearing is it intermittent? Because the UPS for the 3D printer cycles the fan on and off every couple minutes. So if it's intermittent, you might be hearing that. The fan on this is also going pretty good too. You might be hearing white noise from the little tiny high frequency fan that's in this tablet. This is a Dell 4i7 tablet, so it's actually got a decent cooling fan. Well, that's because I have a noise gate. When I stop talking, the noise gate kicks in and silence. So there you hear nothing at all. That's because I set the noise gate. But of course, once I'm speaking, then you hear anything else that's also making noise. I can filter. That tends to make the audio weird, adds artifacts. So most people don't like it when I do that, so I leave that off. They got the colorful solar lights again, ones that are multicolor, so fairy lights, solar panel, battery, everything. All that for $1.29. That's hard to beat. I gotta do my. I got a nice little solar light. It's one of the, looks like a little security light, a little square light, metal housing, and it's got a remote solar panel. I have it right above my front door, aiming straight down, so that at night it lights up the entire front door, and you can see the steps, step up and everything, even if the rest of the lights are off. So that means I can turn off all my lights, and that will automatically turn on and off at night. And it's not working right. It only runs for about 10 minutes now, and then turns off. So the battery's bad. Little knockoff garbage 18650 cell inside there went bad. For now, I might just replace the cell, but by wintertime, I need to modify that. First, I need to get the solar panel higher. In the summertime, it charges enough, but in the wintertime, it doesn't get enough sunlight. I need to get that solar panel higher up so it gets more sunlight longer. And I need to extend the wires, put a dummy cell in there, and run the wires inside the house. I need to get the battery inside the house. The lithium-ion batteries don't like being charged when they're frozen, especially the little cheap ones, and they just die quick. On the street lamp style lights I have, they have better temperature rated lithium iron phosphate cells, so they're rated to handle those low temperatures. Not worth it. Yeah, you know what I would do long before I would ever think about a tracking mount? I would cannibalize a second solar panel and just daisy chain. Problem solved. You just doubled your output. For something like that, it's just not worth a tracking mount. It was partially laziness. I can't reach that high, so the sitting right on the side of the carport, it's magnetically attached to the frame. So at 2 hours before the sun goes down, the house is blocking the light to the solar panel, so it's not even charging it properly. So just raising it up 2 feet when we get it above the carport will probably be sufficient to allow it to charge properly in the wintertime. Just a little higher up, angle it south. That'll probably be more than enough. Definitely not worth putzing with a tracking mount for a little 1 watt LED front door light. 2 watts, whatever it is. Definitely not worth that effort. So I'm going to I'll print that modified core. See if that's strong enough by itself. Make it stronger. I think it will be. That's enough extra. Those ribs are going to add enough integrity, especially if I can make them not fuse so that they give the flex. Then shorten the outer pistons so that I get a proper seating on that center core. The center core needs to seat properly to get maximum strength. If it's floating like it is, it's just not going to be very strong. And then I also want to, now that I have one of these, I want to 3D print a base plate for my water distiller with a slot to stick this in so it can, I don't have to get up at 10:30 at night to turn on the water distiller. I can just program it. No, we don't have a phone line. But yes, I used to do that. It's very low amps, but yeah, you get 90 volts over the phone line, and you can adapt that for small USB loads. Yeah, that was fun. Basically free power. It was. I wonder how many watts you can get out of that. Like if you can just run that into a battery bank. A little extra power. But then again, the cost of having a phone line, it's not free. It's only free if you really are going to keep a phone line, which we don't. Oh, maybe it was 9. I thought it was 90 volts, but maybe it was 9 volts. I thought it was a weird high voltage, but very low amps. Yeah, for some reason, Now I'm curious. I'm probably wrong. It's probably 9 volts. .48 volts. So it is higher. Yeah, 48 volts is what you get. Now this one's saying something about 3 to 9 volts. What's dropping it? Oh, it's 48 volts in steady state, but once a load is applied, when a phone goes off the hook, it drops down to 3 to 9 volts. Interesting. You're right, it probably does average out 9 volts. This is where I got the 90 volts from. I knew I remembered 90 volts from somewhere. To ring the telephone company momentarily applies 90 volts RMS 20 hertz AC signal to the line. So when a ring command is sent from the phone company, basically when they ring your phone, they're sending 90 volts AC, 20 hertz over the phone line. That's where I got the 90 volts from. But yes, effectively it's around 9 volts. You're probably right. But your standard idle power is 48 volts. That's probably why they make it really weird values to limit people's ability to use it. Once we started doing things like USB and small transistors, we use basically any power. But yeah, that was fun plugging stuff into the phone line and getting free power. I always wondered if somebody was going to come knocking at the door saying, "You owe us for that power." You power thief.
I am Groot.
Now I really want to make some cookies. Hey, one thing I am curious about, I haven't gotten anything yet because no money right now, but LoRa radios. The low energy, long range radios. They can go several miles. It's pretty neat stuff. I want to start dabbling with that. But yeah, I'm going to print this new design. Can I increase the size of this? It'd be easier if I could just increase the size. No, it's already at 210.89. Oh, I didn't realize that was so big. Okay, so I can't do that. I just have to make them bigger. There's that. Hmm. 22. I think it's too much. So it's 40.2. If I increase this by 1, then it increases me to 42.2. So 1 millimeter bigger. And then I can re-shorten this down to 20 again. That should work. That'll be a little easier. Okay. I'll show you guys what I'm doing this. Now, let's hide this level. Yes. one piece. Oh, it's all four. Two pieces. Okay. So how do I want to scale this? If I select, why does it select them all? Don't do that. Why are you doing that? Why does it insist on messing with? Oh, I have two sets and they're all connected. There we go. Now they're not connected. The 21. So that scales it without shifting it. And then I can just come back here and change that back to 20 again. So I can scale it and then bring it back down to 20. So shift, select the center, change to 21, which universally scales. Then select it again, change it to 20. Now I'm only shrinking the Z. So that's a little cheat for scaling things in Tinkercad. So again, I want to scale this universally without shifting position. But I only want to scale it on X and Y. So I figure out how much do I need to change it on Z to get the X and Y change that I want. So 1 millimeter seems to be enough. So shift, select this point. Now it's going to globally scale all dimensions. Still holding shift, select this, let go, type in 21. Now watch, it changes all three dimensions. See? The whole thing scales. Now if I select this again without holding shift, now I'm only changing Z. That allows me to bring it back down to the size it needs to be. So I can do that for all of them. And that's a way for me to scale and not have to worry about the shifting relative positions. There we go. So now we are 42.21, which is about 1 millimeter larger, which should be enough. Okay. Now we bring back our wishbone or dog bone and join. And that should do it. That should also make these veins a little bit bigger. I might need to scale those veins more. Although I think my mistake was when I designed this, I made the veins wider, but I didn't make them wider on this dimension. So I think they're squeezing in on the edges here. Why it works when I rock it, flexing it. So this might be enough, but I might have to come in here and actually, you know something? Let's just print a test piece instead of just guessing. The way I can do that, Control D, make a copy. There we go. There. Now I can print just this. Instead of wasting all that plastic. Export. STL. Take the test off. Export the dog bone. This way, if that prints correctly, then I can just go straight to printing this. And they need the new core. Now, wait a minute. This is maximum height? Yes. 209. So I can't change that. What I'll have to change is this. And that, I do not need to do that here. I could do that in the slicer. So this is 189. So I can make it like 185, 4 millimeters shorter. And that might be enough to, but we can test that later. I need this. We'll call this core, or no, this is the inner. Inner. Export. No. There we go. Dog bone test, dog bone, and inner. So I print those. See how it comes out. I'll have to get abusive with this core here. As a matter of fact, maybe I'll make a second version. Control D. Are you disobeying me for a reason? Do I have to bite you? I will bite. There we go. So in case I need more veins, not what I wanted to do. Go. Separate them by a whole lot. Join them again. D. Let's make a high density one. That one has substantially more veins. So this is 8. This is 16. 16 is a lot though. Oh well, we'll try it. 16 might start to affect the threads. I mean, the threads might become too tight from wringing. But my threads are pretty loose, so that might be okay. And this doesn't take long to print, less than 2 hours, so find out. So inner 16. Okay. New version 4. I gotta try Orca Slicer too. Rick keeps telling me it's very good. I gotta give that a shot too. Okay, fine. Okay. That. One test. Yeah, Michelle. Okay. I hate that it does this stupid naming thing. It's so long. Let's see how well this works. Reads it. Bone test. Okay, now assuming that works correctly, we will slice the frog one itself. We'll see auto arrange. Slice that. Good. Yep, that looks good. Export. Frog bone. Recent projects again. And this should be this. Discard. Discard. Yes. Take that. Add our inner. Slice. Now that fuses, but I think it'll be okay. We're okay with that little bit of fusion. That is not normal. That should be all the way through. Why isn't that all the way through? That one is? Oh, it's just the last one. Oh, there's too many layers. That's why. Oh, 4. Supposed to be 3. Because the first layer is 0.6. Get a 1 millimeter blob. That's more like it. That looks nice and clean. What are you doing? Oh, it was finished slicing. Okay, export, inner, 8. Okay, this one's staying stable. Like that. Do up the inner 16 in case I want to do that one. That's more like what I want. So it'll be a little bit springy in the middle, but it won't crack so easily. Ooh. It's got some issues with that one, doesn't it? Like it doesn't like it. Let's try simplify model. Fine. Now try slicing it. A little better. Looks intact. I don't see any glaring holes. I wonder what the glitches are. Might just be the density. And this one will be 16. Okay. And then we're probably going to want to recent pick guard 4, 3. Okay. This is do not want to scale evenly. .85. So we shorten that a little bit. Okay, export outer 185. There we go. I love that it has a little eject button. That's a nice touch. And our files are sliced up. I just pop that out and good to go. Like that. It also wasn't shutting down like the other one was. The other one kept shutting down on me. On the other adapter, this configuration, I had to unplug it and plug it back in. This appears stable. It didn't unplug at all while I was doing it. I didn't try leaving it, but that's nice. I like that. One piece. They also have a 99 section now, a 99-cent section on the AliExpress thing. It's mostly junk jewelry, costume jewelry, stuff like that. Still, it's there. So there's still some pretty impressive deals there. It's really surprising they can sell some of this stuff so cheap. Interesting. So that's it. I'm going to call it for today. I will see you guys next week. I'm going to try hard to get a video out for this one. for Sunday. Get a proper video out instead of just streaming for this one. I think this is done. And if I have to add veins, it's easy to add to the model. But I like this one. Although I am going to integrate the new, less aggressive knurling caps that I have on the new model. I'm going to integrate those because the caps are the same. I just make knurling a little less aggressive. So I'll be integrating those with it. But get this out. I still need to print this with a 0.4 millimeter nozzle to make sure. Tell people how to correctly print that with 0.4. Right now, it's made for a 1 millimeter nozzle. But I need to try printing it with a 0.4. Tell it to print at 0.5 and use 2 perimeters. That'll get me the same 1 millimeter wall thickness. And of course, if you want to beef it up, you can do 3 walls. Have a 1.5 millimeter wall thickness. You make these so they're beefier. These don't need strengthening up, but that little beefiness might help with. So I want to get this out with the files released so people can print them, play with them, and try them. And over the next couple days, I will print and test updates to this, see how it works. Right now, I'm just going to print the cylinder, and I'm going to print a little test piece, see if my tolerance increased enough. Right now, inserting this is a bit of a bear. It goes in, but kind of have to work it. It doesn't want to play nice. So that's something I need to. There it goes. There we go. That's fully inserted. But I want it to be easy. So that's just a tolerance thing. I gotta putz with the tolerances until it. They don't need to be tight. They just need to sit there. This will tighten down and compress everything. If I can figure out how to make it not break. But I think the 8 ribs will probably be enough, and if not, I just go balls to the wall overkill with 16 ribs. That should make that part more than strong enough. We shall see. I will see you guys later. Thank you very much for joining in, and I will try to get these files online by the video race on Sunday. All goes well. Get them online. I'll have it on my pay site, but I'm also going. I don't want to charge for this. I want people to print this if it's useful. Go from there. So that's it. I will see you guys next week on live stream, and also whoever goes to Rocky Mountain Wet Fest, I'll see you there. I'm looking forward to it. I'll be bringing my wall segments with me and play with those. I'll be bringing one of my 10-foot rockets with me. I'm not going to bring as much stuff this year for the table. I definitely brought too much. It was a clusterfuck. I'll bring a couple of select rockets, the big one, and a couple of the little ones that I made. A couple of my nicer prints. I'll bring the cinder block. I'll bring my bricks, the wall pieces, maybe a couple decorative pieces. So yeah. Oh, I gotta make a new tie, a blue tie. Yeah, I need a Hatsune Miku tie. I'm gonna make a new version of my tie for blue with the 2 little black lines. Just, why not? It'll be fun. So that's it. I will see you guys later. Thank you for joining in.